Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Puzzle Chambers. I can almost sympathize with this supposedly demon lord that the story is showing us here. I think that's what they were calling him, in that maybe he just wants people to be more intelligent and thus is forcing people to solve puzzles in general. But it doesn't really make sense. Like, of the types of intelligences you could potentially give somebody, logical intelligence to solve mathematic puzzles is probably the least useful thing you could hope to try and encourage, and that is making a fairly large assumption that you can encourage anybody to be more intelligent in the first place. I find it would be extremely depressing if it just turned out that human beings really didn't have the mental capacity, or a lot of human beings didn't have the mental capacity to learn things in the first place. It's that people don't choose to. Excuse me. But yeah, I would trade things like emotional intelligence over logical, mathematical intelligence first in any time, at any point, because somebody who is perhaps sympathetic and fun to be around is worth way more than somebody who can just answer arbitrary math problems, particularly since we have calculators that can solve math problems anyways. Nothing could push into this 2, I'm noticing. And the green 2 won't do anything in the same way that this won't do anything. So it kind of feels like these 2 pieces, while being introduced, are being introduced in a way that they actually aren't going to be used, and we're just going to use them as wild cards to replace things, which I guess that's one possibility as far as what these really are doing for you. But yeah, if I put a 1 here and turn it blue, that really is not doing anything for us. If I put a 1 here, then I would want it to go up 1. Then I would need something pushing this up more, or something pushing this up more. This plus this, I don't think works in any spot. That would be the most logical spot, but even that is wrong because we want 4s. It would have to be something closer to this. There. So we've got some 4s at that spot. That being said, then this 2 is out of the picture. And then that makes that a 4. If I put that there. And it looks like we've got it, almost. So we've got some greens up here, even though this green's not changing anything. So then the question just comes down to, how do we solve, with the 4 remaining pieces, one of these spots? Which would require us to turn something blue, and require us to add something to it. There's just no way in that layout that that's the way that's going to go. If I was to bump everything this direction and did this, That doesn't work. I could potentially do something like that, but then I can't have the blue pointing at anything, so it would have to be something like that. It feels just so tempting that this is correct. And it feels very tempting to assume that this is correct. And this is hitting 3. And there's just no way that would change. If we knocked that up that way, that gets us to 5, which is what we need. And if we knocked this here, and then did this, that gets us to 3. Yeah, but I definitely don't feel like if you were going to try and force people to be more intelligent, I don't think just making them do puzzles works. Effectively, this is the idea of school. And even in school, you have different assignments. And the assignments are very varied. And the amount of learning in schools is highly, highly questionable, certainly. There's not enough one-on-one interaction or customization for one person to really accommodate learning. Well, while I would argue I learned mostly by osmosis in school, I learned, I think, fairly little things of value and fairly little in general in a school atmosphere. In fact, I didn't even really have a high passion for learning until years out of being out of school, and if anything, recovering from dealing with the poor system that the school system in the United States public schools are. Okay. If we point here and make it green, that could get us a 4. Whereas this one just doesn't feel like it would be in the right place. We can just put a 2 here, which that makes sense. We probably want this instead. That gets us a 5 and a 5. And then if we did something like that, that would get us a 5 too. Also. But evaluating this, there's only enough pieces to cover up everything. So I can't do something like this. Okay. So that severely limits what we can do here. Just really, really severely limits it. Let's see. And we could possibly switch these 2 around, but I'm not sure it actually would change much, switching those 2 around. And I'm heavily just questioning what we're supposed to do or how we're supposed to do the rest of this. See, there's just kind of no way to do this 4, so we kind of know something has to be here. But that doesn't get us high enough. We need a 5. So it basically has to be that. But then how do we get this blue high enough? Or do we not get the blue high enough at all? And then are we pushing the numbers higher with a green? Choose a green here, and that only gets you to 5. So we can get to a 5 there, and we can get to a 5 there. See, I think that's the solution. Yeah. It sure gets really slow when you have even two puzzles back to back. You kind of can just forget the story completely. Yeah, it's not connecting particularly well. As far as we have this new story with the paranoia telling us that one of them is not one of them is an outsider and giving them a gun and telling them to shoot one person. The assumption there is that the outsider is probably this guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a trick here, like, because there's an infinite number of ways you could split people apart here. Like, this guy has more of an angry demeanor, this guy is probably older, this is a female, so anyone could be an outsider. This guy has glasses, none of them else do. So if you said something nebulous like one of them is an outsider, how you define outsider could be twisted to mean just about anything. I have to go with Freddy. He's my guy. Your guy, like, you like me? Nah, Freddy. I think you're the intruder. Let me guess. You read Casey's mind, and now you're just agreeing with him. Actually, he thinks it's me. But never mind that now. So you know I can read thoughts. I don't like to brag about it too much, but... And so this is because I said something about you're bragging, but... I have a very hard time reading yours. It's like you know how to block me out or something. That's nice. Just because you have a hard time reading my thoughts with your supernatural ability that none of us can understand or explain, you conclude that I'm the intruder. I'm going with my gut here. Peachy. Yeah, it might be, since that this guy does have some kind of anti-brain reading ability. Well, this puzzle's a little different in that it totally just starts here with no empty stone blocks, and it looks to me like this could be a very interesting ending, in that the number could get very high if we had slightly different tiles, but we actually can't get that high. Like, there's just nothing to it. 9 is the largest number I can get with blue, and 10 is the largest number I can get with orange, and then the next largest number would be 6, or more realistically 3, and then 1, and then the biggest number I think I can get with this would be this or this. This 4. So, what probably is the move here is to determine, could we get a 6 or 7 by putting this here? Because that's probably the important spot here, right here, since every other plus is going to knock something down, but this is too low and this is too high, so it's probably not the +3. There's only one green and that would be too low anyways. But then there's also only one blue. But we can adjust for that. The tiles take way too long to reset. Feels like they're just really poorly programmed with pathfinding, but for a puzzle game, you really can't complain too much about that. Okay, 3 on any number would be too high. I could do a +3 here to get to 11, and then that would be too high at that point. Clearly the color changers are going to play a big role, which might indicate that the color changer should be in the corner, but that too doesn't make that much sense, because then if I was to do like a +2 here, I can get to a 9, but then I'm not getting any extra advantage for that. And then if I was to even do a 3 here and +1, I'm still nowhere close. So unless I'm totally wrong about, clearly we've also just kind of run out of room, you'd almost think that it would make logical sense to just have the characters always move to the corner to get out of the way, and say something in the storyline to explain that. The fact that there are 3 oranges does indicate that at least one of the oranges is going to be shifted to a different color. A +1 here with this, doesn't really get you any further on that spot. Definitely doesn't feel like it gets you any further on any other spot. And that can't do anything that way. I've reset this puzzle far too many times already. 1, 2, 7, 8, and then literally just have one green, and then maybe we just fill everything else up with nothings. This would add 3 to this. This would add 2 to this. Let's see. 1, 3. And then +3 and 6 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then literally just change nothing else with the rest of the pieces. And certainly, I would have to say, I don't really love puzzles like this. Like, it is effectively giving you a jigsaw puzzle with extra pieces. And while it is perhaps slightly more irritating to have a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces, at least that's still fairly easy to solve. A jigsaw puzzle with extra pieces just gets frustrating. There's no logic in saying, oh, I realize that there's answers that we can just skip by cheating and having wildcards. That's also, I imagine, a reason why you don't play card games with 25 jokers in them, usually. Is that just falls away from strategy and just falls closer to randomness. Sarah, how about you? It'll have to be Freddy as well. Oh, come on now. You're just following Seth. There's something off about him. He's too relaxed about this whole thing. You, Casey? Is anybody going to ask me what I think? It is Freddy. Well, this is just great. I just wanted to check what you thought before I said it. Not me, but you thought. I knew you would read my mind, and I didn't want that to influence your thinking. Not bad. I underestimated you, Sheriff. And what's your proof? You said you just woke up recently, yeah? I ran into the two of you a few rooms after I woke up. But each time somebody's talking about the white mask things, you act as if you already know what they are. It's like they don't bother you at all. Because I don't believe they're blasted aliens. They're just people with masks. Ugh. Seth, can't you just read some of his thoughts? No, the crook's completely blocking me out. Alright, come here. What? Get away from me. We'll settle this the old-fashioned way. I'm starting to like you, Sheriff. I'll get him. No, what are you doing? Some serious pain will make you talk. Are you kidding me? Wait, Seth. What the hell? Freddy, you look pretty scared right now. I was about to get tortured, yes. But when the white mask people showed up, you were absolutely calm, meaning you knew they wouldn't hurt you. Your point is, you're one of them. Oh. Look, we'll get the information one way or another. It's your call. And see, that's weird to just have a storyline interrupt your puzzle, and then have your puzzle interrupt the storyline. Again, this may very well just be a solution that's pretty easy. It's, I suspect, a case here where you literally are just going to block off two, and then you'll try and add things up. Nope, I actually think it's probably closer to something like this. You make that blue, so that gets to 5. Then you make that orange, so that gets to 4. And then you make this orange, so it doesn't change this 6. Just no storyline in the whole for this next puzzle. It seems like you have to do at least 2 puzzles before you get more storyline. But then they're going to give you something that looks like it is a real challenge, where the last puzzle was, frankly, more tutorialization, or just reminding you of factors. Seems like that could work, and that could work. And then we could just get a blank with that, but that's probably the wrong move to start with. If I was to put this here, and that would still be green. And that would still be a 3. I could kind of change things back that direction. I would then require this 4 to be here. But then we're hitting a lot of very high numbers. Very, very high numbers. And we're basically doing nothing with this one. So then it would be, where does the 2 go? We need a 2 that would be bumped up to a 3. Yeah. So we probably should focus over on this side. Let's see how this would go. A 3 plus 3 would get us 6. And would require us to do that. A 3 plus 4 would get us 7. And I don't think we could use this to point to that. And then let's see. How could we do this in any other way? That can still get us a blank if we need to. But I'd basically have to do something like that and then that. And that leaves us with not a lot of options otherwise. Leaves us with this 9, which is wrong. I guess that could be 9, or that could be blank. But then how would we get to an 8? We wouldn't. We'd have to do something like that. Then what would we do with this 8 here? You just have to have such a massively high number. It seems pretty set in stone. Plus 1 orange. That wouldn't really help anything. Just make a 1. Plus 1 blue. We could change the color in this spot, which we probably need to do. So you've got a couple choices on that point. If we were to change this to blue, then it really wouldn't help in this spot because we don't have a 1. So it's probably not blue. If we were to change it to green, maybe that would help keep that green. don't know what we could do with this 5, though. If this was going to play into anything, basically we'd have to play in here. Unless we're supposed to do some weird trick like this. Which, maybe that makes some sense. No, that would get you to 7 on that angle. Just don't see a real value in that. Would there be a value in this? No, not really. Again, we just don't have a 1. And it definitely feels like this is the move. Let's figure out how to make a 7 here, or a 7 there. Why does that become an 8? I thought that would have been a 7. 3 plus 1 should be plus 4. Plus 4 plus 4 is 8. I guess that's just basic math, isn't it? It almost feels like it would be nicer in the puzzles if you could get something to be a blank, and then you could take it off and it would stay a blank. But that might make it too easy. Although at this level, I don't know if there really is anything that actually falls under the category of being too easy, because this all feels a little high challenge. These almost would make sense. No, that can't be that though. Surely can't be here. So it may be doing absolutely nothing, just being used in some way like that. So we've got a blue, and we've got several more things that we have to change. That's not helpful. I would keep that that way. And so this supersedes that. This directly touching this does not get overwritten by this touching this, which that certainly makes some sense. So that can solve those. That can be there. And then that could be there. 2, 3, 4, not 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it. What's gonna be, Freddy? Alright, fine. I might be the intruder, but it's not like it's complicated. Go on, explain. Okay. So I was working for this company that was developing some seriously advanced technology. We were developing super advanced AI. What's AI? Artificial intelligence. A computer brain that works similarly to a human's, to put it simply. Sickos. Actually, many companies are working on that today. Hell, even Google is heavily focused on it. Some serious advances have been made in recent years. Now remember, this is a 2017 game. In 2023, 2024, they started to make, honestly, a large leap in AI, but honestly, even by 2024, the leap seemed to stagnate and doesn't seem like it's going to grow any further for a while. They are advertising almost every device that would have been advertised as being a smart device in previous years as having artificial intelligence, regardless of the fact that none of it really is in artificial intelligence by a good standard in the definition. It is very much a case of large language modules, is what they really are, in which they are getting very good at faking like they're smart by guessing the next word to come in a sentence, or guessing the next image to come in a series of images in databases. It is making a pattern that looks like intelligence. It has really no logic. In fact, your average video game or any program at all has more logic than the core concept of artificial intelligence, whether you're talking the AI generated images or audio or AI generated writing, because there is no actual logic in it at all. The AI modules we have right now will spit out randomness and think it acceptable in many cases, and are prone to what are being described as hallucinations because of it. Now, noticeably too, this feels like what they've done in this 2017 game is they're basically telling us the story, or a slightly modified version of the first movie, Cube, which they referenced. So, yeah. A few years back, 2022, 2021 or so, someone made a couple of games that were more of a multiplayer 3D perspective game that literally was just a parody of the movie The Cube. You were in rooms that were cubes, you would go to other rooms that were full of cubes, and there would be traps in the cubes. And it wasn't even really done particularly well. It definitely was asset flipping quite a bit from probably the Unity asset store. And yet the game got popular enough because people were playing with each other in co-op, and there is this odd nostalgia for the Cube movies, when in reality you should probably watch the first Cube movie, and that's about it. Maybe the new Japanese remake is worth watching, but you really hate watching CubeTube Hypercube or Cube 3, because those are very awful movies. And certainly the Cube horror series or sci-fi series never got any kind of budget. I'm not sure any of them ever got theatrical releases. I'm pretty sure none of them did. They definitely didn't get the kind of funding that the Saw series has, where Saw movies have Twisted Pictures as a production company behind them, and Twisted Pictures as a production company really doesn't have anything else that they can make, and they've got to make something as a movie, so they just keep making Saws. And certainly there is perhaps a history of releasing horror movies once a year, but releasing sci-fi movies is not very traditional. In fact, there's very few sci-fi movies that get released ever since probably the failures of the Star Trek movies, which people now watch those Star Trek movies, but half of the Star Trek movies were failures. And you would probably lean to calling Star Wars science fantasy movies, and a lot of them are not well received either. There's more negatively received Star Wars movies. But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like we're going to get that original of a story. Back to the story though. Some serious advances have been made right. It's the future, and it's coming super fast. So anyway, we had these rooms built so we could bring people voluntarily as test subjects, and the AI could learn by interacting with them. 3 years, 4 months, and a great many rooms before. Welcome to the puzzle chambers. So he's not a bodybuilder, he's a computer programmer, which makes a lot more sense. And it definitely seems like we have a portal scenario here where the AI may have just straight up taken over. Or maybe this is all a made up flashback. After you sign this, you'll be in this place for exactly 24 hours. Oh boy, I'm getting nervous. Haha. Nothing to worry about. You've already solved similar puzzles in your previous visit. I'll guide you and explain what exactly we're doing here. You can go into the first puzzle room, and I'll be with you in a minute. I'm really glad you showed us this place, Mark. Yeah, it's like a room escape game that lasts 24 hours. Plus, we're the ones getting paid. Are none of you concerned about these devices that were inserted into our brains? Nah, I researched it on the internet. It's super safe. I'm sorry I'm late. Notice that these doors just seem to open. So how safe are these devices in our heads? Very safe. Don't worry. That's actually what this research is all about. We're reading your brainwaves, and this is how we know when you want to move blocks around. Awesome. But how does it actually understand brainwaves? That's where our main project comes into play, and our artificial intelligence. It manages to find patterns and decode brainwaves, so precisely for each individual that you can move blocks around with complete accuracy. And we're working on other very exciting functionalities as well. So cool. So effectively, it's either a case that there are actually humans in these puzzle chambers, or all of this is just happening in a virtual reality, and the characters we've been following up into this are just non-playable characters, basically. Or they've advanced the technology so much that the devices in the brains are not known about. Like, it kind of would make some sense that if you had a device in your brain and the AI was going to go crazy and take over, it could then just erase your memory of having the device in your brain and certainly continue the puzzle solving. And it does make sense from an AI's perspective. If it is programmed to just continuously gather as much data as possible, and there is no logical, I have enough information, or if I fully comprehend the scenarios, or I comprehend the scenarios easy enough that it would just constantly try to find solutions by having more and more people solve puzzles. And it definitely makes sense that an AI would just be programmed to seek out solutions to number puzzles, regardless of the fact that the number puzzle solutions aren't really adding anything to it. Anyways, these episodes have shifted as the puzzles have gotten longer into being 45-minute to an hour long episodes. So let's go ahead and end the recording here, not the story. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.